Let's look ahead to Wednesday. There are 9 games on. Let's see what we need to pay attention to. Who's in, who's out, who do we stream in? Is it Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and all of my wardrobe is courtesy of Supre. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Twitter as always, at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code all lowercase LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. The double bangers are here, so double bang it. Hit the thumb up as well. Subscribe, ring the bell. Leave your comments down below. We are looking at Wednesday. There are 9 games on in the NBA. There are going to be a million weird injury situations. We're going to try and cover those as best that we can so you can get ahead of what you need to get ahead of. First game up, we're looking at old mates, the Brooklyn Nets, going up against your Orlando Magic. The Nets play Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. It's been a stinking week for the Nets in terms of only one game in the first 5 days, but 2 of those days are done. So now you look at the rest of the week, 5 more days in the week, and they have 3 games. So it's back to a normal schedule. And that is a really important thing when talking about schedules, is that we can look in advance of the Nets. We can go, hey, that stinks. 1 game, Wednesday, nothing Monday, Tuesday, nothing Thursday, Friday. It's true, it's bad. But now we look at it and go, well, actually, they've got 3 games in the next 5 nights, and that's the same as everybody else. So we're back on track. Next week, they have 4 games, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The Magic, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday this week, and then they go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday the week after. At the moment, injury-wise, Cam Johnson looks like he's returning. He's probable. Markel Fultz and Jalen Suggs have missed the last few for the Magic, and they're going to return. What are we looking at for the Nets? Mikal Bridges looked a little bit better last game. Is that going to stick? We bloody hope so. I don't know that it does, but we hope that it does. And then for the Magic, it's been a better stretch from Wendell Carter Jr. I am not ready to get excited about that. I would consider him a stream guy when the schedule makes sense, and it's not bad now. 3 games in 5 nights is okay. I wouldn't be super excited about him, but he is playing a little bit better. In terms of some guys getting boosted, obviously Dennis Schroeder is continuing to get boosted with the absence of Ben Simmons. We will see what happens when Cam Johnson returns. Does he move back to the starting lineup? Where does Finney-Smith go? Do they put the ball more in Cam Thomas's hands and that reduces Schroeder? That's a possibility. For the Magic, Jalen Suggs, I'm putting him as the boosted guy. They're healthy at the moment, the Magic, but they have been leaning more into Suggs and minimizing Anthony and Fultz. We'll see if that is a trend that continues. I believe that it will. The next game is your Toronto Raptors and the Detroit Pistons. The Raptors play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, as do the Pistons this week, while the Raptors then go Wednesday, Friday, Saturday next week. So they got that bad schedule next week where they don't play Monday, Tuesday. The Pistons, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then 4 games next week. So they've got, over the next 12 days, they've got 7 games. That's the most out of anybody. They go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, the Pistons. What we know is that Rowan Barrett Jr. is out for personal reasons. He's had a few of those since he moved back to Toronto, a few knee issues. I think we're going to move into a little bit of a 50-50 mode with him, with Quickly and with Trent, in terms of they sit half the games and they play in half of them. We saw Quickly and Trent sit the last game against Denver. They're back on the injury report now as questionable. So we just don't know. That's the tough thing. DJ Carton has been ruled out for Toronto, while Asar Thompson is still on the injury report as questionable with that asthma issue that he is dealing with. But the Raptors, they want to lose games and they want to give more minutes to some of their younger players. So I think you're going to see Barrett, Quickly, Trent sort of move in and out of lineups all the way through here, which means that we need to be paying attention to your favorite Dick. Grady, he played big minutes last game. We finally got a good performance out of Dick. And I think we're going to see a lot more of Dick as we move through the rest of this season. I think they'll find a way to continue to give him 30 minutes. I think you'll find a way to get more shots out of Dick. And I think that you'll find a little bit more of his playmaking and his passing evolve over this time. I don't think there's going to be situations where they really just put Dick away and play him 20 minutes a night so that quickly Barrett and Trent can all explode. They'll be more interested in seeing the way that Dick's game grows over this period of time. So I do think that having Dick is probably a positive at this point. Again, there is going to be some wobbliness, some shakiness with it, but it will strengthen and firm up as we go through the rest of the season. Isaiah Stewart continues to be the middest player in the NBA. He keeps getting minutes like he's good, but he's not. He is still rostered in just way too many 12-team leagues, and you don't need to do it. The only problem I would say is because the schedule's so good for Stewart, that gives him a slight boost, but bloody hell, there's nothing exciting about anything that he does. Who's boosted? Well, Jonte Porter is. Now, I don't know what they're going to do because he can play about 12 more games on his two-way contract. Do they play him all 12 and then find a way to convert it to a full-time contract, waiving somebody? Maybe that's waiving like old mate Garrett Temple at the end of the year. That's possible too. Or do they give him the Jordan Goodwin diet of one game in, one game out? They don't have any other centers, so I'm pretty sure that Porter's going to play around 20 a night. And I don't mind that as a stream guy to look at. And then for the Pistons, we saw with Asar out last game, we got gigantic minutes out of Simone Fontecchio, and he delivered. Now, he doesn't always deliver. He's usually a points and threes guy, but if he's going to play 36 minutes, you can't ignore that. The schedule's really strong. You can go there with Simone and hopefully get something good out of it. The Denver Nuggets, the Miami Heat, the NBA Finals rematch. The Nuggets go Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday next week. The Heat play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday this week, and then 4 games next week. So like Detroit, they've got the 7 games. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday is their schedule next week. So pretty good time for a Miami Heat situation. The problem is that Tyler Hero and Kevin Love remain out. Now, Hero's injury turned from a knee hyperextension to a foot issue. I just don't know when he's returning. They're giving us absolutely zero updates on this. And they, again, when we were dealing with all the nonsense with Charlotte and the doubtful tags, the Heat became one of the worst injury reporting teams. They just kept putting Caleb Martin as doubtful every game for a period of time. They're doing it now with Hero, except it's out every game without any sort of update. Same with Kevin Love. We're getting to the stage where a drop of Tyler Hero is a decision we make. And that actually leads me into a sidebar, which I have tweeted about before. I think I've spoken about on this show. I remain 100% convinced that the way that fantasy basketball has always been defaulted to be played in head-to-head leagues is wrong. And just because that's the way we've always done it does not make it right. The way of playing should not be that, hey, who can just scramble and get the most games played in for the week? That is a stupid, I believe, way of having it as the default system. I know it's the way that you've always played. And I know this is your strategy of doing this. Cool. I just think it is ridiculous. It's ridiculous also that we have to come into a decision where we go, well, I've got Tyler Hero and he's hurt, so I'll probably just have to drop him, because maybe what if he doesn't get enough games in? That is a stupid scenario. Like, the injury reporting is so up in the air and games happen so often, things change so quickly. What if Hero comes back, misses Wednesday, but then plays Friday, Sunday, and 4 games next week, and you've just cost yourself? But if you're in a situation where the limitation is not on how many waiver ads you make for the week, but on how many games that your team plays for the week, then you actually can just sit Tyler Hero on your bench. You don't have to play him, and then when he comes back, he's there, rather than making these decisions, which can put balance of leagues completely out of whack. I just think it's ridiculous that the limitation we put is on waiver ads for the week and not on games played for the week. There are, again, I really like some of the stuff we've done in Locked On Fantasy Basketball. We're trying to reverse this. Deeper rosters, games cap, no waiver ad cap. I think it's worked really, really well, like fantastically well, honestly. And the default system we have is stupid. The fact that we talk playoffs and all we're talking about is who gets 2 games on this day and who gets 3 games. It is a stupid system versus let's try and find the better players. That, to me, should be the aim of this. Not about scamming a time frame. I'm doing my best to change it. I won't have success, but I'm doing my best to change it. There you go. So, who's getting boosted at the moment? Or who am I watching, actually? Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. We featured him on the buy low, sell high earlier today, and he's putting everything in at the moment, shooting unbelievably. The steals are way up. That won't hold. We watch that. Well, Bam Adebayo is the opposite. Nothing's going in. Can't hit 2s. Can't hit free throws. Everything's way down from Adebayo. Even his assist rate is in the toilet. We need to see some of that turn around. Who's getting boosted? Well, they're just giving more to Peyton Watson. They're giving him that key defensive role off the bench. And if you're looking for a steal and a block, he can do that. And then Duncan Robinson with Tyler Hero out. He's the main beneficiary. Smaller beneficiaries, Caleb Martin and Jaime Jaquez. But we do see Duncan as the guy that starts, plays 30 minutes. And with his great schedule coming up, I don't know how many he's going to start, but he just should be on a roster and we can go from there. Today's episode is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience is what brings home the winning trophy. It is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything that you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed or power or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you are burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. And eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to US customers. That feels racist. eBay Motors? Come on, what are you doing? Get me involved. Let's talk. What do we need to talk about? Well, games. That's what we're going to do. The next one. Who are we looking at here? It is the Chicago Bulls. They're taking on the Indiana Pacers in Indiana. The Bulls go Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, so they've got a back-to-back coming up. And then they go Monday, Thursday, Saturday next week. The Pacers, only 2 more games this week starting Wednesday, but they do play Tuesday. So they've got Wednesday, Saturday, and then 4 games next week. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. At the moment, we all know all the Bulls guys that are out for the season. Torrey Craig is probable. Julian Phillips, who played like 28 minutes last game, is questionable. And then Dougie McDirt is out for Tuesday's game. I don't expect that he plays in Wednesday's game on the back-to-back with that calf strain being 1,000,000 years old. I want to watch Vooch for the Bulls because he was dreadful last game. He's been improved over the last period of time, but I would still say somewhat disappointing at times. But let's see how he works and how that minutes goes with him and Drummond and whether they just continue to keep them apart, which is what they're doing over the last week or so. I'd assume he was getting that boost continually. So is Alex Caruso. Last couple of games for them weren't particularly good, but you must roster them still. And then Aaron Nesmith, the guy in Indiana, who is really getting that little bit of a boost. We will see how those minutes get distributed without Ben Mathurin. Last time it was all Nesmith, no Nembhard. Is that going to be the realistic situation? Where does TJ McConnell fit into this as well? Because he played a lot of minutes in that last game. The next one up, we're looking at the Cleveland Cavaliers, the New Orleans Pelicans. The Cavs go Wednesday, Saturday. Only got 2 more games this week. That's pretty rough. But then they move into a 4-game week next week, while the Pelicans go Wednesday, Friday, Saturday this week, and then 4 next week. So they got the 7 as well. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday for the Pelicans next week. Evan Mobley is going to be out, and we don't have updates on the other Cavs. Well, let me just check. I don't think we have updates on the other Cavs. Let me just go in and see if anything has come through. Nope, we do not. So I'm going to assume, we had a report from Chris Fedor saying that Donovan Mitchell, or Evan Mobley's out of his boot, but he is expected to return after Donovan Mitchell, which I think is what we all expected anyway. So that to me suggests that Mitchell is probably not going to play in this game, but I don't know that. So I'm going to list him. You can see the QD there on the screen if you're watching. That's me giving a little bit of extra flavor, a bit of extra spice onto the designations. I'm saying questionable, leaning doubtful. I think Max Strus is probably also questionable, leaning doubtful with his knee sprain. I think Dean Wade, who was celebrating the birth of a child, he's missed the last 2. I've got him questionable but leaning probable, so more likely to play. This will be the final game of Tristan Thompson's suspension as well, while Dyson Daniels remains out and he's the only guy on the Pelicans injury report. For the Cavs, Darius Garland, he's putting up big numbers, or bigger numbers, but there's always something happening. 2 games ago, he had an ice on his arm in the locker room. Last game, he twisted his ankle by stepping on someone, went to the locker room, came back. He's all been okay after them, but something always keeps happening. But we're also seeing what he can do when Mitchell is out and the production goes up. That's why I've always remained high on him from a dynasty perspective, as like a top 15 to 20 dynasty prospect, because I don't think Mitchell's staying on this team long term, meaning that Garland should reassume a larger role. For the Pelicans, we talked about this on the earlier Fantasy Trend show. Ken Murphy III just shooting the absolute lights out. They're giving him more shots because of that. Does that trend continue? Or if he has an off night, do they drop the minutes down or they drop the shot attempts down? That's important. Who is boosted at the moment? I do believe that Georgie Niang will be boosted. I don't know whether Niang or Wade will get the start with Mobley out, or what they do with Strus and all those sort of guys, but Niang has been playing well apart from last game. Well, for the Pelicans, Larry Nance is getting big minutes. They are limiting Jonas Valanciunas continually. Now, they had a weak part of the schedule, the Pelicans. Now they're moving into 7 games in 12 nights. So the Valanciunas low minutes are less of a concern across this time period just because there's a little bit more volume of games. But if Larry's going to get 26 a night, well, we have to be at least interested in him in 14s and maybe even 12-team leagues because that is a lot of minutes that he's getting. The next game is just an absolute, it's disgusting. How do you talk about it? It's the Hornets and the Grizzlies. The Hornets play Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and then only 2 games next week, Tuesday, Saturday. Yuck. The Grizzlies have Wednesday, Saturday left this week, and then they go Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week. Of course, the Grizzlies do also play on Tuesday, so they're coming in with a back-to-back. I'm going to guess, just take a wild stab in the dark that LaMelo Ball's out. I'm also going to expect that they don't tell us anything about it, because they're a disaster franchise that deserves to lose. Not the fans, just the people who are in charge. Seth Curry will be out, Cody Martin will be out. Trey Mann, I think he's probably a true questionable, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if he misses. Well, Bryce McGowan's missed the last game with a knee issue. Him being in or out doesn't really impact much. The problem we get to here, that's a problem already, not knowing about Trey Mann and not knowing anything about LaMelo Ball. But we get into Memphis here on a back-to-back. We know that Jaren is out and Vince Williams is out on Tuesday. Now, I think I'm listing Jaren with the QD here because they're going up against a bad team, and that's the Hornets. And I think that they'd be more inclined to try and just bank a loss here, get one of their opponents, the Hornets, to get a win, one of their bad opponents, to try and get a win. And I think that Jaren and Vince, their 2 best players, will probably sit this one out, even though they're sitting out the first game on the back-to-back too. I don't know that, but that's a guess. Yuta Watanabe is out on Tuesday. I'll put him questionable. Johnny Conchar and Jordan Goodwin are both questionable Tuesday, so I'll put him questionable Wednesday. Scott Pippen is doubtful on Tuesday, so it looks like he might be returning. But again, this is just disaster zone. Does Goodwin play? Does Pippen play? Does Yuta play? Does Conchar play? Does Williams play? Does Jackson play? Does Kennard sit out? Probably does, yeah. There's just going to be guys that are popping up all over the shop. So what am I watching on Charlotte? Well, Brandon Miller just been really sort of inefficient of late. Is that because of the excess usage? Is his steal rate dropped because of that as well? Let's see if there's any change. And then guys getting boosted. We are getting a lot out of Grant Williams with these players out, and he is usable while he's playing 30-plus minutes as a starter. And then I think we could feel okay about Jake LaRavia, but who knows? What if he gets a fake injury and has to sit out as well? And then we're getting big minutes out of old mate DeJon Jarreau. What if we're getting... I don't even know what other random... Trey Jemison's getting for 30 minutes. Who knows? It's going to be disastrous. And even an hour before the game, it's going to be hard, I think, to know exactly what's happening. The next one, less uncertainty. It is Golden State and Dallas. The Warriors play just Wednesday, Saturday this week now. Only 2 more games. They go 4 next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. So that's good. While the Mavericks go Wednesday and Thursday, and then Sunday this week. And next week, the 2-game week comes. They play Tuesday, Thursday. So the end of the week, they are off for the last 3 days of the week. If that is your grand final week, then you have to drop Kyrie and Luka after those first 2 days. Those first 2 games. You drop all of those guys. They're done. Which I guess is an ability to get off those players for sure and get somebody else in that spot. But if it's like the first week of your playoffs, or the second week of your playoffs, you're sitting there with nothing going on for 3 days from a bunch of roster spots. Meaning some of these players that you might have, like a Gafford or a Lively, for some reason, if you've got Tim Hardaway or something, PJ Washington, you'll be sitting there with zeros for the end of the week, which you can't have. At the moment, all we know is that Steph Curry is out and he's likely to return for their game on Saturday. For the Warriors, Trace Jackson-Davis continues to play good minutes. Even though he was off the bench, he had mid-20s in minutes, and he's very, very clearly their best center, not Draymond included. He's worth having, but the problem is that schedule's not great, but he is worth having. Dan Gafford has not missed a shot since, I believe, Jesus was born, but give or take. He's starting, but he's still only playing 21, 22 minutes. If he decides to ever miss a shot, what does it do to his overall production? Because at the moment, it's obviously being floated by insane field goals. So we watch that, obviously. Who's getting boosted? Well, with Steph out, Chris Paul's getting that boost, Pajewski gets the boost, Wiggins gets the boost. And then Derek Jones gets somewhat of a boost in Dallas because he's starting. He's doing nothing, but he's starting. And that's at least giving you somewhat of a floor, I guess, to marginally be interested. You shouldn't be interested, but marginally for deeper leagues. Today's episode is also brought to you by the legends over at PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. It's the most easiest and the most exciting, not most easiest, that's not the right word. It's the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS is just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 individual player stat projections and you watch the winnings roll in. They got something new though. It's Demon Time. I know for you, Demon Time means sneaking off into a dark room with your little camera and your Snapchats and maybe getting a little frisky, but that's different here. We're not talking about that. We're talking about finding a way to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. So, demons and goblins are the newest and most exciting way to play at PrizePicks. The squares marked with a red demon or a green goblin give you different payouts. You can now win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Get a different type of goblin into your life and get into PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA and use the code LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/LockedOnNBA. The code is LockedOnNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Today's episode is also brought to you by Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar that you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April the 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar that you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That is right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claimers of Quarter 1 2024 validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss limitations applied to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. 3% matching on transfers subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good stand. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. He's a registered broker dealer. Cool. Let's go on to the next game. What do we got? It is the Lakers. First time we're seeing these blokes for the week. They're going to take on the Sacramento Kings. The Lakers, and again, like we said now, they've got 2 games in the next 5 nights, which is equivalent to a lot of other teams. Wednesday, Saturday. The Kings are also Wednesday, Saturday. The Lakers next week, Monday, Friday, Sunday. That's part of the problem is they play Monday. That's great. And then they've got this big 3-day gap in the middle of the week. Yuck. And then Friday, Sunday. Whereas the Kings go 4 games next week. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday. I'm going to guess that Anthony Davis is going to be on the injury report. It's questionable. Just, I don't know, intuition. LeBron's going to probably be questionable with an ankle problem as well. Wood will be out. Vincent will be out. Vanderbilt will be out. Reddish will be out. Keegan Murray is questionable for Tuesday's game. The Kings are on a back-to-back. I think he'll be fine. And Sasha Vezenkov is going to be out. Austin Reeves is someone that I want to watch. He's been like, after a really rough start to the season, he's been fairly solid. I just want to keep seeing how some of the usage and efficiency stuff improves for him. In terms of guys getting boosted, they continue to give boosts to Rui Hachimura. It doesn't always hit every game, and we know that it's all a scoring thing, but with all these players out, he's getting that. And then Malik Monk is the guy that is Mike Brown's flavor of the month at the moment. They're giving Leaky the bump over Fanapants. We will hold. We'll see. Like, that can change like that. Herder comes out as a 5-for-5 first quarter. Monk will play 19 minutes because that is the way Mike Brown rolls for whatever reason. Last game. Another one that's pretty annoying. It is the Atlanta Hawks. It is your Portland Trail Blazers. We just got updates on the Cavs, by the way. Strus is out. Wade is out as well. And Don Mitchell is questionable. So there you go. Got that update. The Hawks play Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, and then they go Monday, Thursday, Saturday next week. So 3 games next week. The Blazers, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Another amazing schedule for them. So that's 7 games for them in the next 11 days. That's fantastic. Okongwu's going to be out. Trae Young's going to be out. Buffkin's going to be out. No idea on Jalen Johnson. They just keep giving us nothing on him. I'd love to be able to tell you what's actually going on, but no idea. I think he probably is out for this one, but I just don't know. We know that Sadiq Bey is out for the season. And then for the Blazers, Jabari Walker, I'm going to put as questionable. He missed the last couple. I know that Malcolm Brogdon's going to be out, but do they start shenaniganizing? This is the first of a back-to-back for Portland, so what does Grant do? Is his hamstring going to be mysteriously sore again? What about DeAndre Ayton's knees? What about DeAndre Ayton's snowplow? Is that all going to be in operating order? Is Anthony Simons going to have something go wrong? There is prime nonsense afoot. Be prepared. For the Hawks, it's going to have to be DeAndre Hunter. Even though he's bad, he's going to have to play a lot because there is no Bey. There might be no Johnson, Giddy. And they have no other forwards. Someone said, Josh, do you think AJ Griffin could play small forward? And I'll be honest, the other day, I completely forgot this bloke existed because they just never play him. He's still in the G League. Why won't they play him? Yes, he can play the small forward if he wasn't the most hated man in the world, apparently. Hunter's going to be someone we have to watch and we should be rostering. And then Scooter Henderson. I just don't think you can leave him on the wire. 7 games in 11 days, already amazing stuff. Started, played 33 minutes last game. I think he plays the back-to-back, but they're going to pump a lot into him here, and I think stuff is going to improve as we get through the rest of the year. In terms of guys getting boosted, well, with no Okongwu, probably no Jalen, Bruno Fernando is actually providing 12-team value at a back-end level, and he's going to get boosted again. Well, for some reason at the moment, they are focusing their offense, the Blazers, through DeAndre Ayton. I talked about this on the Trend Show earlier today. He's just getting everything, and I don't know why, but he is, so he is getting that boost. Again, how long does that last is the big question. Let's look at some more schedule-related stuff now. Wednesday, Thursday, back-to-backs. There are 3 teams. It's the Bulls, the Mavericks, and the Trailblazers who've got that combo. What about the next 4 days? So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 teams play 3 games. Charlotte, Chicago, the Pelicans, and the Blazers. Whereas if you switch out someone from Boston, Milwaukee, Minnesota, and San Antonio, you get a +2 games advantage. So you might have tried in the Boston guy like an Al Horford, Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett maybe. You're dropping those guys and you add one of these guys from the 3-game teams. Easy stuff. You got the Bucks, so that's like, is Leaky Beasley a drop with 1 game in 4 nights? Probably yes. Minnesota, like Kyle Anderson? Well, obviously yes. What do you do with Naz Reid though? I know he's been great the last 2 games. One of those was with no Anderson, no Gobert. Is he a hold? Like probably Conley's not though. I wouldn't hold him. And then for the Spurs, 1 game in 4 nights. So like Sohan and Keldon. I'd hold Vassell and Wemby, but Trey Jones, yeah, that might turn into a drop. It probably doesn't, but that's all going to depend again, like my rant earlier, how desperate you are to get extra games in, which you should never be in that spot, but if you are, you have to make these tough calls. I don't normally do it, but we look at the next 5 days here, because there are 15 teams that play 3 games in the next 5 days. That's everybody. And the Wolves play 1. That's key. So when we talk about, do we drop a Wolves player, 1 game in 5 nights is massive. That's 1 game for the rest of the week. That's where you run into those problems. Over the next 6, we've got 5 teams that play 4 games in 6 nights. Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Miami, and Portland. And there are 5 teams that play 2 games in 6 nights. Houston, Milwaukee, Minnesota, the Thunder, and the Spurs. We already know that Jalen Williams is out for the game on Tuesday now. He just got ruled out. I'm not saying to drop Jalen Williams, but like if you're looking at like a Kayson Wallace or a Lou Dort, understand that it's a pretty light schedule here for the Thunder, and you're not going to get a gigantic benefit out of that. I'm also going to look at 7 days, because there's some advantage here. There are 12 teams that play 4 games in 7 nights, but there are 2 teams that play 2 games in the next 7 nights. So that's a 2-game week. But because it doesn't start on Monday and end on Sunday, we don't really look at it. But the Bucks and the Thunder, starting on Wednesday, for the next 7 days, play 2 games. So Bob Portis, Leaky Beasley, for some reason Jay Crowder, maybe even Chris Middleton, considering he's never there. Lou Dort, Josh Giddey. Do you drop him with 2 games in 7 nights? It's a definite consideration. If there was a team that had a clear 5 game in 7 night coming up, that's an easy switch. But there's not. Let's go to the 8 games situation. Again, harder to do this because you're only getting a 2-game advantage over 8 days. It's not a massive win, but we'll talk about it. Detroit, Miami, and Portland have 5 games in 8 nights. And there are 7 teams with 3 games in 8 nights. Houston, the Lakers, the Bucks, the Wolves, the Knicks, the Thunder, and the San Antonio Spurs have the 3 games in the 8 nights there. Let's look at some streaming guys now for Wednesday. We'll start with Yahoo points. We do go to Sterling Henderson, Santi Aldama, DeAndre Hunter, Grant Williams, Timothy John McConnell, and Vasily Micic. For ESPN points, I'm going to go with Scooter as well, followed by Aldama, McConnell, Hunter, Neesmith, and Grant Williams. And if we go to category leagues, let's look at the points league setup, or not points league, the points category setup. 1 standard guy, 1 deeper guy. We go to DeAndre Hunter and Rui Hachimura. For 3s, we go to Davis Bertans and Duncan Robinson. For your big man stats, these guys have appeared on these lists so many times. For rebounds and blocks, it's the same 2 blokes. Nick Richards and Trace Jackson-Davis. They continue to be there and continue to look pretty good. Assist options, we're going with, these are the guard stats. We go to assists, and it's TJ McConnell and Vasily Micic. And for steals, Jalen Suggs and Jose Alvarado is in that mix there for us as well. What's the next one we look at? It is percentages. Field goal percentage. Trace Jackson-Davis and Nick Richards, the same big men. You're looking for big men, these 2 guys are options. Free throws, we're looking at DeAndre Hunter and Grady Dick. I should have put it the other way, so it read Dick Hunter, and that would have been a lot funnier. Let's take a look now at the streams of the day. Your 10-teamer is DeAndre Hunter. Your 12-teamer is Jackson Davis. 14-team, we go to TJ McConnell. And 16 is Bruno Fernando, although I'd argue that Hunter, Jackson Davis, and McConnell can all be streamed in even in a 10-teamer, I think. But we sit there for those different sort of areas. And that brings me to the end of a Wednesday 9-game daily look-ahead streaming view, which, again, contains my rants that maybe streaming shouldn't be our major focus when playing fantasy basketball. But again, I know a lot of people will disagree with that, and that is cool. I think I'm right. Because of course I think I'm right. Because if I didn't think I'm right, I wouldn't think it. Go hit the thumb up on the subscribe button. Go ring the bell and leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.